Welcome to the Expert's Journey podcast, where we're all about creating your path to impact. Join your hosts, Dixie Mary Carlton from Indie Experts Publishing and Mr. Web Marketing Brad Houck, as we look at how you can grow your business and influence by leveraging your knowledge for profit. Hey, welcome to the Expert's Journey. And this week, we're going to look at a really interesting topic, and that is creating multiple streams of income for your business. Look, this is really important and certainly hit home for me in 2020. As we all know, the world stopped and we all stopped moving around very much. And if you didn't have multiple streams of income and you were a speaker and relying on speaking to generate your income, which I know a lot of people in my industry did, or any industry, quite frankly, where experts work like consulting and all that, suddenly you ran into this dead end where no money's coming in and you still need to pay for the house and feed your family and all those sorts of things. So today, Dixie, I think we'll have a chat and look at how we can develop these multiple streams of income and have a look at some of the options available to people.
That's a great idea. Hi, Brad. What was it like for you when 2020 hit? Because I know you were more reliant on speaking than what I was at the time. How did it hit you?
Yeah, look, for me, it really hit hard because my speaking was to develop a service business, and my service business was providing marketing services for digital marketing to companies. And of course, straight away, all of those companies, and I had quite a few large companies that I do work for, just cut their budgets because suddenly they had no money coming in. So the first thing they cut was the marketing budget because they couldn't go to see anyone to sell or anything like that. So it's like my income just instantly just dried up. Luckily, I had a few sources going at the same time, but realistically, a large chunk of my income, just died within, I reckon, 3 days.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I had contacts and had a few referrals come up of projects people needed doing that could be done online and didn't require any connections, but also it allowed people time to think about things that they'd been putting off as well. So like website rebuilds and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
What about for yourself?
Well, I was lucky in that I had long-term contracts with people who just essentially paid a relatively small amount per month to continue to do their books over a period of time. So I had a reasonable flow of income continuing from my coaching work. Also, people suddenly started buying more books, which was good because people had more time to read them. But I, as you know, talk to and work with a lot of people who are in the speaking industry. And so many of them, literally the speaking, the consulting, the workshops, everything just stopped overnight. And so the concept of having multiple streams of income really hit home for, I think, everyone in this industry. You know, you can't rely on just allowing yourself to be a keynote speaker or just a workshop trainer. And we've got an interesting situation I was hearing about the other day where some training companies have had a lot of their budgets cut by government. And so if they're reliant on government subsidies for their training, then all of a sudden they've got no income. So I think what you have to do is think about what are all your strengths? What are all the things that you could do with your knowledge? And how can you spin that so that people will pay you to help them? I had one author that I'm working with at the moment who started doing walking and talking, and that walking and talking turned into walking, talking, consulting time, which was a brilliant way to start pivoting into a whole new area of her business. And she had sold her business just prior to the lockdowns. So she was okay for riding out some of the storm, but she still felt really useless, or she defined herself by being able to go and work every day. So when you suddenly have that taken away from you as well, it makes you realize that, you know, the concept of retirement in our industry might not actually be as much fun as we maybe think it is. So having multiple ways of capitalizing on the knowledge and the expertise you have beyond a book and beyond a speaking engagement is really critical. So what did you do to resolve the lack of speaking, the lack of inquiry, the phone's not ringing?
I'll just tell you a funny story before I go there. The funny thing was I'd actually given a speech about 6 months before the pandemic, and it was actually to a group of professional speakers. And the story in the speech was, what will happen to your business if you get hit by a bus? And it was the fact that you need multiple streams of income, and the fact that if you get hit by a bus and you end up in a hospital and you're all wrapped up in plaster, they show you in the pictures, you're not going to be able to run your business if you are the business.
Mm.
And then, of course, 6 months later, we got hit by the bus and we found out who actually listened on that night. And for me personally, it made me think back to where I started online, because I started online selling books that I wrote about how to use computers to teachers. And all my income came from online sales. And I had a site that was based around certificates that people downloaded to present to students and workers and things like that. And I made my money out of the advertising on those sites. Suddenly it made me realize, of course, that I'd let that part of my life go in a way, because I was working to help other people all the time. I didn't have time. So I really had to look at that. Now, as I said, I was lucky in that I was able to chase up and find some contracts. But I'd also been working on some projects, and it gave me a little bit of time to bring some of that to fruition and bring in some extra streams. It's a bit like I've recently launched Learn, which teaches people how to write training courses. And I've launched a membership on there because I truly look for evergreen projects these days, things that, I'm obviously looking at micro courses because you always need that. So yeah, for me, I made it through. In fact, I was frustrated because the other day everyone was talking about how during the pandemic they got locked down for a month and they all sat around and had drinks and watched TV and did all these things. Yeah, I think I had 2 days before I hit a new contract and had to get stuck in.
Yeah.
So I was like, I feel ripped off. But anyway, that's enough about the pandemic, because I think we've all been there.
But I think it's really interesting to realize that when things happen, or when a recession suddenly kicks in, that is a time where some people are still making good money. They still have reserves and projects that they want to get started on. And so being able to step into that space and help those ones who have been waiting for the wheels to fall off everyone else's bus so they can actually take a break and get into the project or write the book or do the whatever that they thought they would do when they had some time to do it. It's a matter of making sure that you are ready. The other thing I was going to say is, for me, I'm a digital nomad now. So I'm less reliant on money to pay the rent, but I'm very reliant on making sure that I've got multiple streams of income, so that if I'm in one place or doing one thing, that it's all supported with like a whole ecosystem of income producing products and ideas and opportunities that will also not just serve me in one place, but that I can take globally. I'm pivoting my entire business to be a lot more flexible in all those ways is also part of my planning around multiple streams of income.
Yeah, look, I mean, for me, at that time of my life where I'm looking at the next project, and of course, Learn is the one that I'm going with for the rest of my duration, basically, because my background's obviously in education and all that as well. But that being able to travel and do whatever from anywhere without being tied down to a particular office is really important to me as well. And I know for most experts, if you're going to run a business, you have to be out of the office. So if you're on your own and you don't have staff, then it needs to be able to travel with you. If you're on your own and you have virtual staff, they're already somewhere else. But that said, even if you've got staff in an office, you still need to be able to have those multiple streams of income in case something happens or staff leave. Everybody knows nothing is stable these days. So from my perspective, I think that's where the multiple streams of income becomes so important, because the other thing is too, you will often find a stream of income you didn't know existed that turns out to be very profitable.
Yes, absolutely.
If you haven't tried that before.
And as you say, like micro workshops and, how they get delivered, if you then start to think about, well, what are all the tools that I need to be able to have multiple streams of income? So, for example, if you're an author and you do keynote speaking and then you want to do workshops, well, do you need a printer, or do you need facilities to be able to print things out? Or do you need to have, really big hard drives that you can take with you everywhere? Do you need to think about, whether you've got design facilities easily accessible? What are all of the additional things that you might need to have and do to create an additional side hustle or a side product from what you're already doing?
And look, the virtual world does bring a lot of that more easily, because we can do webinars, we can do videos, we can have a YouTube channel. There's so many things we can do. But there's always times when you're going to need that physical content as well.
So you hit on an interesting thing just before where you said that originally your business was about people being able to download certificates.
Mm.
So if you could make a list of 10 things that you could do from one source of knowledge, what would be some of those things on that list?
Oh, there's so many. But I suppose if we were to start from, say, a book, okay,
Yeah.
it's a good chunk of knowledge, as we know. Or we could start from a video. It makes no difference. But if I had a book, then I would create some videos first up, okay, because it's easy to stand there in front of a camera and read an auto cue or even read the book to create some content. And then from video now, there's so much you can do because you've now got an audio file. And an audio file can be transcribed. So that's different to what's in the book probably because you're speaking rather than actually reading necessarily. And then that text content can be blown out into so many products. Obviously, you've got mini courses, you've got PDF downloads, you can create worksheets to go with chunks of it as well. They're really useful. And people buy worksheets. You can create templates that people use to do that job that they can apply in their business, and they're sold as well. So people often sell really good quality templates to help you apply their methods or even just to support their theories and frameworks.
White labeling is a really big thing now. Yes.
Yeah, and you've got audio books, video shorts. Video shorts is a really interesting one. I watch my daughter. She's very successful on YouTube and Instagram. And the reels, I noticed she was doing the reels and I was like, oh, okay, so I got to try some reels. So I did some reels, but then I put them on YouTube as YouTube shorts. And suddenly it's one little 15-second thing is getting 2,500 views. Oh, and that's within the first 24 hours. And you're like, oh, okay, how easy is it to get in front of 2,500 people in 24 hours? It's not easy to most people. And certainly to get that many people in one room, certainly in Australia, is not common. And these little micro products that come off one big one, and there's obviously AI tools and things like that that will cut video and do all those shorts for you. But in my case, you can take a book and then you can create a micro course and then you can have a membership, which is the next level up. So they do the micro course and they join the membership, which is basically what I've just launched for writing micro courses. And the membership is where you mix with other people who are doing the same thing and you support each other, and you as the expert help everybody as a group, because groups, obviously you get to leverage your time.
Yeah.
But then you can jump up to a mastermind group where you take people who want to move into a different area or move into more depth in that area or something. And because it's a mastermind group, it's a smaller group, so you can charge more for it. So it's that old theory of the more personal time someone gets with you, the more you can charge.
Mm.
I think I heard it first from Mal Emery and Dan Kennedy that when someone buys a book, they pay, say, $30. If they buy the course, they pay $100. If they join your group, it might be $150 a month.
Mm.
If they want to go into a VIP group, it might be $1,000 a month for maximum, say, 10 people. But if they want to be one-on-one with you, it's $1,000 an hour.
Yeah.
Because suddenly they're getting the absolute best tight information about their specific problem rather than a group problem. But all of these things are different streams of income. And this is the key thing to remember here, is that we can take one thing and step people up into other streams of income, or we can create, say, one big group. So I'm trying to create one big group of people interested in producing courses at $100 a month.
Mm.
And I'd like to grow that to 1,000 people. And I've got lots of stuff included in that. But you don't have to give away more of your time if you don't want to, but you can choose to. Mm. And you might find people come to you and say, I'd like this. So they almost say, hey, I'm another stream of income that you can tap into if you want to. But you still get to choose that. And I think that sometimes people get freaked out with, and I do it myself, fear of success. Fear of success, it can hold you back really bad, especially when it comes to creating multiple income sources.
Yeah. And I think you have to kind of get past the limitations of that and deal with your imposter syndromes, and then also make friends with the concept of it's okay to make $1 million. I would be a happy millionaire. Takes a different mindset than just someone who is constantly trying to create new things. You have to make friends with money. You have to make friends with success as a concept and get really friendly with that, get really relaxed with the concept of your own levels of success as part of dealing with that imposter syndrome. One of the other things I think you can do is, or what you need to be doing is thinking long term. Instead of thinking, I'm just going to do this because this is one thing that I'm interested in or one thing I know. Like I have a lot of people come to me and say, I want to write a book. And often I'll say, well, that's great, but what's going to be the long game? What will be the second, third or fourth book? And sometimes you really need to be thinking in terms of, I'm going to write a book, and then I'm going to write a workshop, and then I'm going to deliver keynotes, and then I'm going to make sure I've got a series of videos that support what I'm trying to teach. People can sign up for this. Then by then I'll be ready to write my second and third book. And there is a long game. I think in this industry, you have to be thinking 5 to 10 years ahead and saying, if my knowledge continues to grow and my ability to continue to share that knowledge exponentially grows, then I really can go all the way with this, not just, well, I'll do this for now until something else comes along.
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of people look at the short-term plan more so than they look at the long-term plan. And if you really look at some of the great books, How to Win Friends and Influence People has a massive business built off the back of it. And it's not just about the book. The book is the entry point, really. You've got the face-to-face training. You've got the sales training. You've got all these other streams of income that actually came off the back of that book. Same with the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or any Anthony Robbins book. I'm using, obviously, business books here. There's, the E-Myth. How many versions of the E-Myth is there now? That's a smart one.
Yeah,
exactly, because they've written one for tradesmen. They've written one for accountants. They've written one. And each one is a different stream of income. People often see their book as, this covers everybody. And it's actually, no, you can actually take this, even just a book, and make it into separate streams of income. And we've seen that with people who basically reinvent their audience, not the book.
Well, I was really lucky to sit with Michael Gerber himself in Las Vegas. We were both speaking at a conference together way back in 2004 when he was just starting to go down the path of derivative product. So he had just written, I think, the E-Myth for contractors at that point and the E-Myth for managers. And so he explained in detail to me the concept of, well, you might have mostly the same concept and the same content, but you've got a whole different market for that. And so dentists, accountants, teachers, just been talking to a woman about her book and saying, well, why don't you now do that version for the Christian market or that version for the over 40s or the over 50s market of women? So you can, if you're looking at your content and saying, how many different markets can I target this to? It goes against the grain of this is just, you have to niche something. You can niche something, but still explode it into other markets very, very cleverly. And that's what I got to learn directly from Michael Gerber, was that you don't just start with one book and think that's it. You can go all the way and still be a niched person dealing with one particular market.
I've just recently seen this with Profit First, which is a great book, changed my business. It really did. One of my clients is an accountant. He's now a qualified or certified Profit First accountant. But then I was at the library a couple of weeks ago and I found Profit First for tradies. Now, it was a joint project, but it was a proper Profit First book, as in it was under the proper name. It wasn't just someone copying the concept. And people are still doing this. It's still there to be had. And I mean, I sat down one day and I wrote out a list of products that you could make from, say, one video. And I think I got up to 100 different products. Wow. I've seen longer lists, but at 100, I got tired of writing. There's just so many things, because if you've got the content there, and a video is obviously an easy one because it's a lot less work than writing a whole book. But, you can sit there and talk about something and then transcribe it. And from there, you can just pull it out to everything from wall posters that have little sayings or little diagrams or whatever. There's just so much stuff. I suppose as a former teacher, to me, when I went through Teachers College, they actually taught you how to make all that stuff. We had to make our own stuff. There was no real printing even. Photocopiers were restricted. That's probably the best way to put it. We used to make posters and we used to put the lettering on there and have it, you'd put a piece of foam behind it to make it stand out and all this sort of stuff. But I realized that you could make so many teaching tools, which is really what we're talking about here, teaching tools and tools to help people use your information more effectively in their business. That's what these other streams of income are, without going outside creating completely new streams of income, of course. That's a whole nother thing. Some people are good at that. They can create multiple businesses. Me, I'm not that smart. I'm doing one thing or I'm failing.
Well, one of the things that we've talked about in a previous episode is the concept of having a call to action throughout your book. But you can also have other things throughout your book. And like we talked about isms. So you can have all of your specific sayings or all of your, how you end each chapter might have a checklist, for example. You can do all of these checklists and then turn that into a book of checklists or a journal that goes with the book or a workbook that goes with the book. That is also just a derivative of the same information that's in the book, but it sits side by side, hand in hand with the main book. And it's easy because you've already thought through all of the ways that you would use that in the book. So
absolutely.
You both products together. So upselling is a simple thing of, would you like fries with that? Would you like a thing to sort of print out and have on your desk or your fridge with all of these great sayings, these great reminders?
And a lot of people don't realize, but also like at KDP, so Amazon is printing, you can take that workbook and make it into an A4 book that they can buy and it's printed and shipped to them. You don't have to be all virtual.
No.
You can create a diary. You can buy a template for a diary and then in certain sections put your little sayings. How many do we see of those? You go to the bookstore and there's 1,000 diaries there for ladies with sayings on each page and then somewhere to write their journal or what they're doing today or whatever. They're all the same.
Oh, guys, don't. Yeah.
I will not admit to them. But I can't journal. I run out after 3 days. That's it. I've lost it. But the point is that you can get these templates and then customize them with your own content in literally a day. You go into Etsy, you can buy them there. Go into Canva. They're already there for half of the planners and layouts. And you put your own sayings on them and you compile them as a book and then upload them and sell them. And you can have them printed out and you can sell them from stage if you're a speaker. So we are very limited in our thinking that publishing is something that's this big thing. But we can take stuff that we've got and get it published really easy these days. Even Officeworks, you can literally upload it online. They'll print it out and spiral bind your workbook for you and you just go in and pick it up. There's so much that you can do to make extra streams of income that look super professional.
People say to me, oh, should I have a whole lot of photos in my book? Well, maybe a couple of photos in your book, but why don't you take all of those photos and turn them into a calendar or a book that's just the photos or a set of screensavers with all of your isms, your own sayings on them. Again, you don't have to limit yourself to just book product either. You could do, I know an author who does coffee mugs and t-shirts with her particular sayings on. And that's on her website. And she has the books, obviously, but then there's all these other cool, fun things.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
The sky is the limit. But first you have to start with a book and a concept of what you want to do with that. Think long term, go back in and say, what are all of the ways that I want to reach this market? For how long? Thinking long term again, what exactly is the opportunity? Smorgasbord here.
Yeah, I use Redbubble and Printful, which you may or may not have heard of. But they're a print-on-demand company that do everything, T-shirts, mouse mats, mugs, everything. And I've done that for many years for my firefighter brand and sell those T-shirts to firefighters. And it's just a little stream of income that ticks over. But all I need to do is actually upload the image and then they put it on the product and they print it and then they ship it.
Yeah.
Now, anybody can add a stream of income so they have like wall posters, mouse mats, bath mats, caps, you name it. Go and have a look at Redbubble. And it literally costs nothing to have a store on there. You just sign up, upload your images. It adds, you move them around where you want them on the actual item. And then they give you a URL, which is your shop, and they take the money and they send you your $2 profit or your $10 profit or whatever you put on it.
Yeah.
So you can so easily add extra streams of income to what you're doing if you want to. And as I said, they can be totally out of the realm of what you're doing as a professional. They can be a hobby if you want to, but it's just there for you these days. There's so much opportunity, especially if you can hit a really good niche that loves to buy that stuff. We all know people like to buy candles, for example, or they like to buy sayings and that sort of stuff. People do. They buy this stuff, and it's a big market. It's a huge market. You only got to go to the farmers markets and all those, and you'll just see the same products repeated over and over with different themes. It might be a surf theme, or it might be a farm theme, or it might be but it's the same stuff. It's still the cutting board. This one looks like a surf cutting board.
Imagine having one of your own isms printed onto a tote bag that is available at the conference that you're going to be speaking at, and that you sponsor the bags, make sure that the bags are these little, basic little tote bags with your brand saying on it. And everyone's walking around the conference with one of these, and it looks like it's come straight out of your book.
Yeah. And actually, I saw an ad for one on Facebook the other day of a company that just specializes in doing just the tote bags with and they do like hundreds of them for you. And it was like $3 each, which is a small investment if you've got the right marketing behind it and you think about how you're going to use it. If you're just giving them to people, but if they're on everybody's chair with other people's stuff inside, everybody likes a tote bag. They're useful.
And if you've got, the solution of the tote bag is a sponsorship item for the conference and it's only $3 each and you're only doing like 100 of them, $300.
Yeah. Exactly. And you can get them shipped there so you don't have to carry them, even better.
Exactly. So, there's so many ways.
Oh, look, it's one of those topics that's never ending. And I've no doubt that we'll touch on this in future episodes. But the key thing, I think, the message that I wanted to get across to people today is that you must have multiple streams of income. You never know when that bus is going to hit you. And if all your streams of income rely on you being there, which of course brings us to the whole thing of paid advertising, but I'm going to leave that. I'm putting that away for now. If you have to sell to make money and you have to be there, then I was always told that you're not actually in business, which is an interesting way of looking at it. So if you can't be there, you're not in business.
Yeah. Michael Gerber said it brilliantly. You don't have a business, you have a job, and your boss is an idiot.
Absolutely. And look, we're all idiots at different times as we evolve. There's no doubt about that. But you need to have these multiple streams of income. It's just so important because if something goes wrong or if you get sick or whatever, you need that money coming in. You need to be protected.
Listeners need to think about it this way. It doesn't take a lot to set up another spinning plate. And if you watch anyone who does the spinning plates thing, you set it up, you set it spinning, and then you go on to the next one. And the plate that you've set up spinning is going to keep going and going and going, as long as you just keep every now and then going back and just giving it a little twist.
Oh, that's a great idea. I can see that visually.
Yes, exactly. So spend your life setting up lots and lots of spinning plates. Some of them will still crash, but the majority of them will keep going and with less effort than what you think it's going to be when you look at them all when they're all complete. So
yeah, and especially with the tools that are available to us online now. There's so much stuff that used to be like a major hassle, like printing, for example. Now it's all gone. Upload the file, walk away. It's just so much easier for everybody to do this. I just don't think they think about it enough, or they think it takes too much work. But look, I encourage everybody to just go out there and investigate some of these things like Redbubble, KDP, Amazon printing, like those sorts of things where you can leverage their platforms, their tools to easily add other streams of income to what you're doing. Hopefully everybody enjoyed today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and share it with someone else because we'd love to grow this podcast.
Yes.
And we look forward to catching up with you in the next episode.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Brad.